Hello, excuse the appearance, it is a lazy Sunday for me today. I have been wanting to do a little reading vlog where I read books that I would sort of deem kind of more out of my comfort zone. So I have a little list on my phone of the sort of books that I want to try and get to. I think they're very different genres. I think there might be some non-fiction on there. Some are definitely literary fiction, some translated fiction, etc. So we've got a lot of different things to get through, and depending on how successful I feel I've accomplished by the end of this vlog, I might do it as like a mini series. We shall see. But I'm looking at some stacks of books at the minute, and I'm thinking I know what my first book for this vlog is going to be, so hold on, bear with. Okay, so it's a book that's got a lot of love. It's a translated work. It is a collection of short stories. It's quite sad. It's got some time travel in there. Have you guessed? It is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Toshikazu Kawaguchi, and it's translated by, let me find out, by Jeffrey Troslot. And if you don't know what this little collection of stories is about, now let's find out. A small back alley in Tokyo, there is a cafe which has been serving carefully brewed coffee for more than 100 years. But this coffee shop offers its customers a unique experience, the chance to travel back in time. In Before the Coffee Gets Cold, we meet 4 visitors, each of whom is hoping to make use of the cafe's time-travelling offer in order to confront the lover who left them, receive a letter from their husband whose memory has begun to fade, see their sister one last time, and meet the daughter they never got the chance to know. But the journey into the past does not come without risks. Customers must sit in a particular seat, they cannot leave the cafe, and finally, they must return to the present before the coffee gets cold. So I think I'm going to make some breakfast, make myself a coffee, and get started with this. I'm really looking forward to getting into this because I've heard so much praise. And I know it's got a couple of like, they're all like standalone short story collections, but I think there's at least 2 books in this continuing series. And look how stunning this is. Oh, it's got a little cat in their cover as well. Beautiful. So this is going to be the first book out of my comfort zone. The reason it's out of my comfort zone, I would say, is because I have been loving the time travel trope, but I don't read enough of it, so I'm still kind of finding my feet. I don't read a lot of translated fiction, although last month I did read 1, so I guess I'm sort of slowly getting back into that. Short stories, I was going to say I don't read a lot of, but last month I read like 2 short story collections. Oh my god. Okay, what else? I don't read a lot of sad stories, and I don't read much out of the fantasy kind of genre. So let's see. And also it's a shorter read, and I tend to read books that have at least 300 pages, I guess. So out of my comfort zone, but that's for a good reason. I want to feel like instant gratification, although the topics included in this might melt my sad brain. So we shall see. So as I say, I'm going to do those things, breakfast, coffee, and I'll get started with this. So I have been reading Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I'm currently on page 45, and I have had like a bit of a here, there and everywhere sort of feeling whilst I've been reading this, but I have been enjoying it. We're just kind of getting into the exciting stuff now, where our first character from our first short story is about to go back in time. However, there was something I read where there was like, wait, there's one more rule, and they'd already mentioned there was like, it was the same rule that they literally on the page before had already mentioned, which was you have to sit in a particular chair. But she acted like she had never heard this rule, and I was very confused. I don't know if it's something in the editing of this that kind of lost its meaning, but I was like, but dude, you knew this. They literally just said it. Yes, they didn't mention the specific chair over there, but they said to you that it's a chair that you have to sit in. It's only one chair. So why are you like, what? Yeah, very much confused me. But yeah, I'm intrigued by this, and I like that it has rules. Like, it makes sense that it does. I don't like meaningless reasons. Like, I don't like not knowing that there's law behind the rhyme and reason of things, you know. Anyway, what I did come on here actually to show you was some bits that I got in town yesterday. So I was in need of a new overnight bag, and I got this really cute Disney one to replace my old Disney one, and it's much larger, but it's still like a comfortable sort of level. And look how pretty it is. It looks like a, I don't know, American football kind of vibe. There was a cloth one that I liked much better, but I thought that is not going to withstand the rain. And then inside said bag, I just bought a couple of tops and such that I will show you. So I have this one, which has a painting by Van Gogh, well, a couple of paintings, and it's this lovely beigey shade. First I'm trying them all on, but I really like it. I like the colour as well. It's like taupey beigey. Okay, on to the next one. I have another arty kind of top. This one, I know it as the Great Wave, but on the tag it's got a different name, so I don't know if it's like, I think it's a series of different paintings, but it's called like the Under the Wave of, and then I can't remember the city or the island. And I actually studied this. Well, I made it my point of studying GCSE art, and I did lots of different variations of it with different textures and textiles and things like that. And yes, I do love this. I've got a picture of it, like a print of it, on my wall as well behind my bookcase, so you can't really see it, but this is another one. And then keeping with that varsity kind of football cheerleader vibe, I got this jacket. It looks very 90s Disney. I feel like you could get something like this from Disneyland, although I've never been. It's 32 quid though, so I don't know if it's really worth that, but it does feel nice. I just feel like for Primark grade usually it's a little bit up there in price, but I like it. It's quite cute. And it's just got the same colours and a big Mickey on the back. And it's making me think of that Baby Tate song now, the edited, oh Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Okay, so I've just finished the first story in this called The Lovers, and I really enjoyed it. What's our main character's name? Fumiko. I didn't really like her much, but I really enjoyed her tale. Sorry, I just ate my dinner. I feel food in my teeth. I felt like she was a bit of a strange character in the fact that she appeared quite childish, although she was very like businessy woman, so it was a bit of a contrast in terms of personality. And I don't know, like the ending of that story, I would say, I don't know, I'm in two minds of. However, I did enjoy it, so I'm looking forward now to reading Husband and Wife. But as the little blurb in the front says, I think this is the one where the husband is he's got dementia or something, like Alzheimer's, and I think that's going to be a bit of a hard read. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to finish all that one for the rest of the evening, but we shall see. Hello, so it is Monday the 6th of February, 2:30 p.m. I'm at work, but I thought I'd just quickly check in and let you know that I am now in the third of 4 short stories from Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So I read the Husband and Wife one, and that was quite sad. Like, I feel like the whole vibe of this is very melancholy, very bittersweet. It's kind of got like romantic vibes, but like a soft, sad romance, you know. And now I'm on the Sisters, and it was an interesting way to start it because we had someone from the future sort of open up the story, but now then we had like a lot of just general meandering story that was building to something. But I'm intrigued to see where it goes, although I can already see how it's unraveling. It's very sad. Hello, good evening. I think it's like 8:30 or just going up to 8 or something. I've just finished Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and it was very enjoyable. The last story, especially Mother and Child, was pulling on the old heartstrings. But yeah, overall I'd say I wasn't as moved by it as I feel like a lot of people was, but it was still such a solid read, and I really did enjoy my time in this, especially it being more of what I would say like a character study, just getting to know all these people that frequent the cafe and their hopes and desires for wanting to go back in time and using the chair in the cafe. So yeah, I think I'd give this a 3.5 stars. So first book out of my comfort zone, I would say is a success. I really did enjoy this one. As I said at the beginning of this vlog, I think there's like 2 or 3. Actually, no, I looked up. I think there's 4, but I think the 4th one hasn't been translated into English yet. So currently, I think there's 2 more available in English to read, and I definitely wouldn't mind picking those up at some point to give a go. Yeah, it was beautiful. It's very sweet, melancholy story, or series of interconnected stories, should I say. Hey folks, I'm looking very Medusa-y tonight, but it is Sunday the 26th of February, and it's just turned 7 o'clock, and I thought I'd come back to this vlog and pick up another read that's out of my comfort zone, and that one is Howdee-haie by Samuel Fisher. I saw this one talked about on Sunbeam's Jess's channel a couple of years ago, and I picked it up around that time as well. But yeah, I think it's like a literary fiction. It's a short kind of book, and to be honest, at the minute I can't really remember much about what it's about, so I guess let's find out together. A young man is found brutally murdered, oh wow, okay, in the middle of the snowed-in village of Howdee-haie. Over his body stands another man, axe in hand. The gathered villagers must deal with the consequences of an act that no one tried to stop. Howdee-haie is a haunting novel set in an alternate present, in a world that is slowly waking up to the fact that it is living through an environmental disaster. Taking place over 24 hours and told through the voices of a mother and her adult son, we see how one small community reacts to social breakdown and isolation. So it looks like it's got a lot of themes that I've not really read about before. I love the idea that it's a 24-hour one. I like that it's going to talk about, what did it say, social breakdown, environmental disasters. These are all things that I don't read a lot about. And the heart of it is obviously this crime that they say nobody stopped from being committed, or nobody stopped it happening. Yeah, that made sense, I think. So yeah, I think I'm going to start this like nowish. And I, of course, will update you as and when I have thoughts to share. Hello, so I picked up Howdee-haie yesterday, which was the 5th of March. It's currently 20 to 8, the 6th of March. I had put this down unintentionally for quite a while. I know I was saying I was hoping to read it in like 24 hours. That didn't happen at all. To be honest, I didn't feel compelled to pick it back up. And even when I decided, right, I'm going to give it a couple of chapters yesterday, I just was lagging. I ended up starting a different book. I think, yeah, I started Fables and Reflections, Sandman Volume 6. So I was just finding excuses not to read it. So I decided to take it with me to work because I really don't want to DNF it. It's tiny. So I might as well just push through it. But at the minute, I'm just not really compelled. I thought it was going to have more conversation about, I don't know. It's both. It's kind of like directly and indirectly about climate change and this murder that's happened, but it's also not direct enough. And I don't care for the characters enough to just follow them in their everyday lives. You know, I just don't. I want the tea. So that's my struggle with it. But I am about literally halfway through now. So hopefully I finish it like tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. I'm just not really compelled, so I feel like it's probably going to get a lower rating unless the story turns around quite quickly, because it seems like things are going to ramp up a bit. I think that's what's difficult when it comes to like a traumatic, dramatic thing that's happened off page at the start of the story. It's kind of difficult as a reader finding your place and where you fit in that, and just kind of seeing, you know, how far back they go back into telling this story. And because I didn't have any loyalties to begin with, I'm just kind of like ghosted along through people's subconsciousness, it feels, and I don't know if I like that. So yeah, those are my thoughts at the minute. Hello, so it is 9:30 on the 7th, I think it's the 7th of March, and I've just finished Howdee-haie. And I liked it more near the end as we was reaching the conclusion. Although it is open-ended, I don't really like open-ended stories. But I ended up giving it a 2 stars just because, as I said earlier on, I didn't really care much for the characters. I didn't feel that fundamental connection that is what really guides me through. I'm very character orientated, and it was just a struggle because it was very character focused rather than plot, and I just didn't care for anyone, which is sad. So yeah, that one was a bit more of a dud. 2 out of 5 stars.
Black, and you'll be able to see some of that colour variation in their fur. So the name grey wolf is a little misleading. The narwhals are also looking nice and big and stocky at the moment. Most of that is actually made up of their fur. Over the last 3-4 months, they've grown that lovely thick layer of fur, and that's keeping them toasty warm and dry through these cold days and months at the moment. They don't necessarily need it too much in this country, but out in the wild, some of the areas they live, they have to tolerate temperatures down to about minus 30 degrees. Rough lemurs.
I think there's one side in front of it.
Yeah. Now they're just down at the far end at the moment, over on the floor.
Oh my god, there's loads of them.
Yeah, just as we're coming up under the walkway. They look like a cross between a bear and a cat. They spend about 95% of their day hiding away up in a tree, very rarely coming down to the ground. They eat pretty much anything they can get their paws on, and their wee smells like popcorn. And we do have 2 binturong in the enclosure. They're called Teddy and Cecilka.
Oh, their little feet are so warm. Hiya, so it is 6:30, the 13th of March, Monday, and I thought I'd check in and tell you about my weekend. So I went to a hen and stag do combined. It was so much fun. I included some of that just a minute ago, but we did go-karting on the Saturday, stayed with the friends, and then went to the zoo on the Sunday, and it was so much fun. We really had a great time. But yeah, I thought I would come on here because I'm reading a couple of books, and of course this vlog is about books that it's out of my comfort zone for whatever reason. But one I'm reading is called Mentor, and it's a thriller, and I don't tend to read thrillers that often, so I would sort of class it as that. And it's also, as I'm reading, I'm about 53% of the way in now, I'm finding it quite extreme in like the graphic detail that it's describing. For example, it's a spoiler, but it's something I would have wanted to know. It goes over it quite quickly, but there is an animal death scene that I felt was a bit unnecessary, but was included. So stuff like that I don't tend to like pick up and read. I sort of avoid it. But this is a really interesting, really enjoyable thriller. I'm reading it for review as well, by the way. I should probably mention that. From Black Crow Publishing, and it is a thriller about a guy who's recently got quite successful in the book publishing industry. He gets in, well, his old professor gets in touch with him after seeing him in the newspaper, and kind of, it seems innocent enough. He wants to celebrate his success. He was quite a big portion of his life back in university. He was like a mentor to him, got him out of some trouble, and then they sort of just lost touch along the way. Anyway, he comes over for dinner, meets the guy's girlfriend, and he says, oh, I've been working on a book. And he's like, oh, you know what? I would love to give it a read. He starts reading this book when they like depart or whatever, and it is the most debased, vile thing he has ever read. And he's like, oh my God, how do I tell this guy that meant so much to me in my early years, that got me through uni, that this is sick and disgusting and I don't want to publish it. And I don't think it's going to have a place on the market at all. Anyway, it gets very tense. It gets very stalkerish, kind of unhinged, frightening, and yeah, awful things begin to happen. But I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, I would definitely include that in this vlog. And then from now on, I shall update you on that book, The Mentor. Hey folks, it is 2:20, Wednesday the 15th of March. I thought I'd come on and do a little bit of an update. So I've got like, I don't know, maybe 50, a little bit more, a little bit less of Mentor to finish. And oh my God, the pacing is incredibly fast now. We're really ramping up to the climax, the finale, and I cannot stop reading. Obviously I have to stop reading, but if I didn't have to, I wouldn't stop. It is so Moorish. It is so like deranged in the descriptions of what the professor is writing about. It is so uncomfortable, and I'm really enjoying it. So this is going to be a probably really highly rated story for me. And I thought I'd add that I'm also reading a book called I Kissed Shara Wheeler, which I feel like is also out of my comfort zone. It is a YA thriller. I don't read often YA thrillers, and well, I wouldn't say thriller. Okay, it's not a thriller. It's more of like a mystery, a YA mystery. This girl leaves like almost like love letters. She kisses many people by the sounds of things and then disappears before prom, and she's like the popular girl. Everybody loves her, and they're kind of trying to piece together why she ran away. At the minute, I'm mixed feelings. I'm liking it and I'm not liking it. I'm loving that it's got LGBTIQA plus rep in it. Always need more representation, always need to read more representation, and I'm enjoying that. But I just feel like it's reading very I don't know, whingy for me, and I know it is targeted at a demographic age group that is not my age group, so perhaps that's just the reasoning why I'm feeling detached in that way. But it's kind of giving me like Looking for Alaska by John Green and Pretty Little Liars vibes, both of which I enjoyed during those times. But it's just, I can't understand why our main character Chloe is obsessing over Shara Wheeler so much when all Chloe wants to do is like beat Shara as valedictorian, and that's the only reason why Chloe's looking for Shara and like finding all these clues. I like the kind of Easter egg hunt-esque vibe, if you will, of trying to locate her, where Shara is leaving all these notes to those that she's kind of been involved with in her life. But also I also really like the kind of motley crew of all these, like the loner, the popular one, the one that everybody just calls the lesbian. It's really like religious town that Chloe moved to, and they're sort of all banding together to try and find Shara. But also the motive, it just doesn't feel believable for me. I don't find it like that genuine a reason, really, especially coming from Chloe. And I'm sure stuff's gonna you know, evolve as the story goes on, so I don't think I'd want to DNF it, but I'm just not as hooked as I thought I could be. I'm really just sticking to it for the representation, which I'm really enjoying at the minute. So, and just because it's a kind of easy, fast-paced story. The narrator, because I'm listening to it on audio, is really annoying my head, like the different voices that she's putting on for like Chloe in particular, Shara through the notes that she's leaving, and there's another character, I can't remember the name. It's just so grating, it just does not feel believable. It really like takes me out of the story, so that doesn't help either, unfortunately. I might have had more luck with it, like connecting to the story, if I was reading it physically perhaps, but alas, that is not the case for now. Anyway, those are my updates. That is what that would bring this to a total of 4 books. So I've done 2 physical books, 1 ebook currently, 1 audio currently, and I'll probably like wrap this vlog up once I've finished both of those. So yeah, very exciting times. I've really enjoyed filming this vlog actually, and getting out of my comfort zone and pretty much devouring out of my comfort reads for pretty much like a whole month. It's been interesting so far, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I have not yet finished. I will return when I have more thoughts on the current situation of these 2 reads. Oh my god, so I'm in the bath, hence not showing myself. Anyway, I have just finished Mentor, and I literally went oh, because one of the characters had said how they preferred their books like open-ended and just hanging, and the way this ended was just that. It was pretty much the perfect ending. I thoroughly enjoyed this like sick, twisted novel, the demise of it all, Kyle's struggle through it all, the relationship struggle between him and Jamie, oh my gosh, the newfound fame, like the reconnection with William, and then the turmoil that continued, well, grew and continued from there. I found it, I'm just on acknowledgements, don't worry, no spoilers. I found it absolutely thrilling, and I think I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely adored this. Yeah, I have no words. Definitely trigger warnings, of course, for some really gross, explicit content. But my gosh, this was such a gripping read. Okay, so I just finished Ike's Shara Wheeler and I ended up quite enjoying it more than I had beginning wise. So I think I've already told you what it was about, but I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed the conversations on sexuality and gender and just the banding together of all the different, you know, cliques and social circles and their kind of strive to break down the social constraints of the school and their rules and their hostility towards being queer, basically. And yeah, I really enjoyed that, but I found the whole, which was kind of like the majority of the plot, the cat and mouse chase and just the reasons behind Chloe chasing sorry, I've got noodles going on. Just the reasons behind Chloe chasing Shara Wheeler and looking for her to be just obsessive in the wrong ways. I mean, being obsessive is not really good anyway, but like just because she wanted to beat her, being valedictorian, and you know, I know there is more to it. I'm glad that I found out the depth of that and the deeper story behind there, but generally that being the kind of main premise just didn't have me hooked. It didn't have me hooked for the majority of it, and in fact I only really got into it about 40% towards the end is when I really started enjoying it more. But yeah, I'm glad I read it. I enjoyed it, generally speaking. Some of the themes and the vibe just weren't for me, but I really liked what it had to say on diversity, and it's like this big coming out story from many different characters, and I loved that. So with that, this wraps up my reading vlog, reading books out of my comfort zone for whatever reason, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for staying with me, and I shall catch you in another video soon. Bye.